Right, it's 8 o'clock. Um, so we're going to do the mindfulness of breathing this morning, and before we do, I'm just going to say a few words about it. I was thinking before we started about dogs. Strangely, um, we've always had dogs in my family, and the thing about dogs that I really like is that they they just are there with whatever's happening. When you leave the house, they sort of go all worried and anxious, and then while you're away from them, they they either fall asleep or they walk around waiting for you to come back. And then when you get back, they just uh, they just go mad, and they're so happy in that moment. So the dogs tend to live with what's happening in the moment, uh, and that can be really good for them, pleasant, or it can be really unpleasant, like when we leave the house, leave them alone. And this is what most animals do. Human beings, we are blessed and burdened also with self-consciousness. So not only do we know that we're here, not only are we self-conscious, but we know that we are conscious. And that can be quite painful at times because we get caught up in all kinds of worry and anxiety and retribution and criticism and judgments and all these kind of things. And we spend a good deal of our life in difficult and negative states of mind. I'm sure I don't have to tell you that, you know that already. And sometimes we spend a good deal of time in good positive states of mind, which are great. Um, but we have this tendency to constantly think about life, think about things, which dogs don't do. Dogs just experience what they're experiencing. And in a way, we're aiming in meditation to be a bit more dog-like in that respect. Maybe not in other respects. We're just trying to just be with whatever's happening in our lives at the moment, and just be patient with it and kind with it. And if we can do that, it becomes much, much less painful. Uh, the Buddha described um, our the way we think as twin arrows. We get pierced by an arrow, a painful arrow, when something happens to us, and then we inflict a second arrow on ourselves by just thinking about it all the time and going over and over and over it, and not wanting it and trying to push it away, and that just makes it worse. So with meditation generally, and with mindfulness of breathing especially, what we're trying to do is to turn towards our thoughts, just see them for what they are. They're just transient clouds in the sky moving across our experience. And if we can just keep letting them go, then they don't cause us anything like as much pain as if we start following them um, and getting caught up in them. So this practice is about just letting thoughts go. And if we can do that, then we eventually help our mind to settle and be calmer and not get caught up quite so much in these kind of thoughts. So that's what we're going to do. We're just going to, in this meditation, just follow the breath, which helps us to our minds to calm a little bit. But when we get distracted by a thought, we're just going to notice that we've been distracted. Maybe smile about it. This is what thoughts do. And sometimes they come in torrents, don't they? And we can't do much about them. So if you have torrential thoughts, just keep on smiling through them. Just keep on noticing, letting each thought go. The thing about thoughts is that if you turn towards them without thinking, they tend to just evaporate on the spot. They can't survive if we don't actually get caught up in them. There's nothing there. Okay, so I'll lead us through this. I'm going to read a poem once we've settled in. It's a poem that I've read before that some of you will know, The Guest House by Rumi, and it's a wonderful metaphor for our thinking mind, our chattering mind. So, okay, let's begin. So we're starting the usual way by just settling down, just arriving in our meditation, just noticing that we're here, noticing that we're sitting on a chair or lying on a bed or the floor, maybe a cushion, and just noticing what that feels like. What does it feel like to be you right in this moment? Mentally, emotionally, and physically. And just being aware of however you might feel, with a sense of kindness and friendship towards yourself. We don't have to be good, we don't have to be perfect, we just have to be however we are, with all our flaws and tendencies and habits. We're absolutely okay as we are. Maybe we can see room for improvements, but the first step to improving is accepting how we are right now with kindness. Noticing how it feels to be sitting, lying, the contact with whatever you're sitting or lying on. The touch of the air on your face. The sounds around you, if there are any. Even the sound of silence. And giving yourself up as much as you can for the next 25 minutes. This is your time. Time to relax. And to let go as much as you can. And bringing your awareness now up to the shoulders, noticing how they rise and fall as you breathe. And each time you breathe out and the shoulders fall, just relaxing a little bit more. Letting tension drop away through the body into the earth. And on the next out breath, relaxing some more. And then some more. Just letting go. So this is a poem by Rumi called The Guest House. This being human is a guest house. Every morning a new arrival. A joy, a depression, a meanness. Some momentary awareness comes as an unexpected visitor. Welcome and entertain them all, even if they're a crowd of sorrows who violently sweep your house empty of its furniture. Still, treat each guest honourably. It may be clearing you out for some new delight. The dark thought, the shame, the malice, meet them at the door laughing and invite them in. Be grateful for whoever comes, because each has been sent from as a guide from beyond. So as we sit here, we're going to just notice the guests that arrive in our guest house. And just notice them with kindness. Just notice how it feels with kindness, and just letting that be, taking care of ourselves. So in this first stage we're going to follow the out-breath. Going to follow each out-breath from the beginning to the end, and then if we wish we can place a number right at the end of each out-breath. Beginning with 1, and then 2 on the next, then 3, and so on up to 10. And when we get to 10, beginning again from 1. So you probably won't get to 10, you might not even get past 2, and that's absolutely fine. So just noticing when you get distracted, and with a deep sense of kindness to yourself, just coming back to the breath, to the out breath, and beginning counting again. When thoughts arise, just turning towards them, noticing that they disappear, and coming back to the breath and the counting. So just letting go of the counting for a moment and just checking your posture, making sure that you're comfortable, gently adjusting if you need to. And then when you're ready, we're going to start counting just before the in-breath in exactly the same way, beginning with 1 at the first in-breath and counting up to 10. And when we get distracted, coming back to 1 again. And doing this with a sense of patience and kindness. We don't need to criticize ourselves for not being able to count more than a few numbers. We're just doing what we can do. And just catching yourself if you're trying too hard, trying to let go of making too much effort. Just relaxing. And when you get distracted, just noticing that joyous moment when you realize you've been distracted. It's a kind of awakening, a little bit of awakening. Suddenly you're here in the moment, realizing that you've been distracted. It's so beautiful. Third stage, we're going to stop counting altogether, and we're going to bring our awareness to our breathing in the body. So mostly I would suggest, to begin with anyway, in the chest area. Just noticing what it feels like to breathe in the body. The lungs expanding with each in-breath, pushing the ribs outwards, expanding the chest. And then the chest relaxing as we breathe out. Constant rhythm of movement in the chest as the breath comes in and out of the body. Just noticing what that feels like. At the front of the chest, at the sides of the chest, and at the back, the upper back. Just really homing in on this rhythmical movement, and as much as you can, allowing yourself to get lost in it. Not thinking about it if you can help it. Just being with the sensations of the breathing in the chest area. And in the final stage of this practice, we're going to move our attention up to the area around our nostrils or upper lip, and just homing in on the sensations of the breath as it brushes past these points, entering and leaving the body. Delicate, delicate sensations. So we need to focus as much as we can. Just noticing what it feels like. And we don't have to think about it, we can just notice with our awareness. Maybe noting the texture of the breath, coarse, fine, silky smooth, etc. And the temperature of the breath as it comes in and the temperature as it leaves the body. Is it different? And just letting go of all effort now, and just moving awareness to the whole of our experience at this moment. Whatever's happening in the body and the mind, with our physical senses, just being with that, without pushing it away or getting caught up in it. Just observing how things are right now. I'm going to ring the bell to bring this meditation to an end in a moment, and when I do, just taking your time, and when you're ready, opening your eyes, moving your body, and bringing your pyjama meditation to an end.